Hey everybody, welcome to a great video. Today we are taking a detailed look at the new Jeep Grand Cherokee. Now the Grand Cherokee, of course, is the vehicle which in the past has been synonymous with family hauling capability, but also off-road capability. Well, the new one is very smooth, very modern looking, and quite expensive. This one retails for over $70,000. The question is, have they lost any of that built-in Jeep DNA? We're going to run this thing through the TFL slip test where we get various wheels stuck on purpose to see how the all-wheel drive system works, and then we're going to take it a little bit off-road and make sure that this thing is still a Jeep. Alright everybody, welcome to the TFL slip test. So in this test we get various wheels stuck on purpose in these rollers to see how the all-wheel drive system and the traction control system and the limited slips work to get us unstuck. And in this Grand Cherokee, the first test is going to be the front wheel slip test. So the front wheels are going to be stuck in the rollers and it's going to have to distribute torque to the rear to get us unstuck. Now this is a full-time four-wheel drive system. We're in the rollers, going into neutral. Now this vehicle does have a number of drive modes and off-road modes, but we're going to start out in the normal mode, the auto mode as it's called. This is just your everyday driving around mode, which is how most folks are going to operate the Grand Cherokee. So starting in auto, front wheel slip test, off the brake, onto the accelerator. Okay, so you could see no delay whatsoever. Rear axle was engaged, slid us right off. We're going to do the same test, but with the back wheels. For this test, both rear wheels are stuck. Now, this particular Grand Cherokee has a full-time four-wheel drive with a clutch pack in the center differential, which can distribute up to 100% forward and backward, but the default is 48 front, 52 rear. So with the rear wheel stuck, let's see if we can get unstuck. All right, we're into drive, onto the accelerator. Okay, so the front axle was engaged, no drama whatsoever. Pulled us off without any difficulty, and we got a successful test. Now, before we begin the next evaluation, I think it's important to talk about all-wheel drive systems in the Grand Cherokee and the Grand Cherokee L, because not all Grand Cherokees use the same system. The base vehicles are going to use the Quadra-Track 1 system. That is a single speed transfer case, no low range, no fancy differentials, just your run-of-the-mill all-wheel drive. This vehicle has the Quadra-Track 2 system, so that adds some more features to the vehicle, offers some additional terrain modes. We also have a clutch pack in the center differential, which can distribute torque on the fly. And then above this is also a Quadra Drive 2, which has these really fancy differentials like you'd find, for example, in the Trailhawk version. So this vehicle has the Quadra Track 2 system. We got the low range, you know, good stuff. But I'm noticing on this Monroney, it's got a little option there at the base of the MSRP. It's got a credit, $400 back for the electronic limited slip differential delete. And it says it has the conventional differential rear axle. Now that is fine for most folks, you know, driving around in the dry, but on the slip test and in snow and in ice, that is not ideal. So we're gonna see how that delete affects this vehicle's performance on the rollers. And this is where it's gonna get a little tricky. So this is the diagonal slip test, front left, rear right wheel stuck in the rollers. Very common off-road, also very common in the snow and the ice and the muck and the mud. You know, imagine you're driving up on a slushy hill. Some wheels have different amounts of traction left to right, very, very common. This is what this simulates. So our diagonal slip test is gonna start in the auto mode, foot on the brake, onto the accelerator. Okay, so there you go. So we got a little bit of slipping, actually quite a bit of slipping, and then the vehicle kind of figured out what to do and got us unstuck. Brakes engaged, took us where we need to go, but let's try that one more time and let's try a different drive mode. I think that's gonna be pretty curious. So we're back into the rollers, into neutral, let the vehicle settle, and let's go to the rock mode, right? That's gonna be the most aggressive four-wheel drive setting. We're actually gonna go into four-wheel drive low to engage the rock mode, like that. There we go. Rock mode engaged. That's gonna be the most aggressive with the traction control. Let's see if we see a difference in the diagonal slip test. Okay. Onto the accelerator. I mean, immediately. Huge difference enormous difference, just a tiny amount of slippage before the wheel speed sensors figured out what was happening, sent the brake distribution where it needed to go, got those spinning wheels slowed down, got the wheels on the ground spinning, and we pulled ourselves off. But that's a huge difference. So if you're really stuck in a bad situation, you gotta play with a little toggle and engage in off-road mode. All right, time to get pretty advanced. So for this first 3-wheel slip test, both left wheels are stuck, the right rear is stuck, only the front right is on the ground. This is the ultimate test of an all-wheel drive system. We're gonna go back in high range, just like that. We're in the auto mode like you drive it every single day. Let's see what happens. Come on, right front. Gotta get some grip, buddy. Okay, well, it's thinking about it, but we're clearly not going anywhere. So let's try sand and mud. Let's see if we see any different performance in sand and mud. Yeah, much better. So what I'm figuring out about this all-wheel drive system pretty immediately is if you're stuck, if you're off-road, even if you're in some deep snow and you're stuck and you're like, it's really not working, what should I do? Start playing with that toggle, because there's a huge variation in the way the traction control responds with the vehicle and the way that the torque is distributed. Usually I'm not a big fan of like off-road modes. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of a gimmick. But in this vehicle, if you're stuck, definitely start moving that toggle. Now for a test that most vehicles really struggle on, 3-wheeled slip test with one rear wheel on the ground. Only the right rear has traction with the ground. The other 3 are gonna be beached in the rollers. Into neutral, we gone back into auto, high range selected. Let's see if we can get unstuck. Come on, Jeep. That's feeling pretty stuck. Let's go into rock mode. We're not messing around on this one. 4-wheel drive low, rock mode selected, that's suspension, 4-corner air suspension. That's gonna rise up in this vehicle. We're in neutral, but it's not selecting low range. This whole system's a little fussy, especially getting into low. Come on, car. What you got? There you go. Now we're in low. Okay, let the computer figure it out. Right rear, come on, buddy, let's grip. Oh, we're in sand and mud. I'm actually gonna go into rock. That's gonna be the most aggressive. So we didn't get unstuck in sand and mud. Oh, God. Look at that. And you can actually feel when you accelerate in the rock mode, the brakes are so aggressive, it just clunks down immediately and just forces you forward. That's awesome. All right, let's go see how this performs in a real world scenario. The sticker price on this one, this is the Summit version, $73,515. So that's a lot of money. You know, that's a lot of money for a Grand Cherokee. And it's got some fancy features. It's got these quilted leather seats, it's got heated everything and massage, and you know, it's got 20-inch wheels. But it still has 7 slots in the front of it, so it still has to do Jeep things. And that's what I want to verify today. We're out here on the Onyx Off-Road Andres Pit course, our all-wheel drive torture test, and it is so unbelievably overgrown, guys. I'm sorry, I gotta come out here and do some trail maintenance, but we have had more rain in the last 6 weeks in that time period than we have had for 147 years. And it's been so hard to keep this place maintained with our off-road course, but we got a whole plan coming for that soon here. But anyways, let's talk about how this vehicle performs in the trenches course, because this is offset grooves cut to the earth at various levels, and we're gonna see if we can get up it in various modes. Starting in the auto mode, now this vehicle does have 4-corner air suspension. We are in the standard ride height like you would be every day, and then we'll jack it up. Now in standard ride height is actually where you're gonna get the most compliance out of the suspension. That's where it's gonna be the softest. As you start going up a level or 2, you really start topping out the suspension and it really firms up a lot. So we're diving into this first dip here. We're in high range, not going into low range yet. We're gonna start picking up some tires, accelerating. Oh, that's pretty violent actually. It's very soft out here, surprisingly soft. Okay, next divot. Come on, Grand Cherokee. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Full throttle. There we go. Come on, Jeep. It's really not happy. Let me go into the sand and mud mode. Let's see if that helps us out at all. That's gonna probably jack up the suspension a little bit. says selected ride height not permitted. This is not going well. So in sand and mud mode, it's allowing a lot more wheel spin. But we're not going anywhere. Partly because I think, if I'm right, it's a lot muddier than I was expecting out here. But still, we are in a Jeep. All right, I'm way off kilter now. Let me go into low range. Let's go right to the rock mode. We're gonna get the rock mode selected here. It's gonna jack us up. We're gonna get out of the situation. So in the auto mode, it is possible to get stuck pretty easily. You know, if you're gonna go off-road, you're better off selecting the appropriate mode ahead of time instead of waiting to get stuck. But for this torture test, that's what we ended up doing. So we're in the rock mode. Suspension is up here. We're in low range. Time to hit it again. Let's see if we have better performance. Lifting up that rear tire quite a lot. Oh man. Jeep put just these kind of crummy street tires on this thing. Not good. We're gonna give it one more shot here. Just a little bit of momentum, just a little bit. Oh, see, I wish we didn't have these crappy tires on this. Come on, Jeep, figure it out. Come on, come on. Let me go, come on, full throttle. Oh, we made it through, but that was way harder than I was expecting. Partly because the conditions out there, pretty soft and gooey, but mostly sound these tires. You know, I like 20-inch wheels on all 4 big wheels and tires, but on a Grand Cherokee, even on the top spec, I wish we had something a little bit more meaty. All right, so lava lane, this is a test of approach angle and departure angle, and we're gonna showcase a pro and a con with this vehicle. Now, another thing you need to know about this Summit spec is we don't have the tow hooks in the front, which is not good for off-roading, because if you get stuck, you want to be able to get towed up pretty easily. But we're going to see how the approach angle is here. So I got my suspension all the way jacked up, which is very cool. Let's see if we're going to clear it. How are we looking, Case?
Good so far.
Yeah, I'm going to put the window down. If it looks like I'm about to mess up some really expensive plastic, let me know. So this thing has an amazingly effective approach angle. The issue, though, is the departure angle. Yeah. So here's the pickle, right? The L. This is the long wheelbase model, which is cool, right? 3 rows, fantastic. But this thing's a Kardashian in the rear end. And what you end up with is, as I imagine Kim has the same issue, you just end up scraping your butt over doorways and up big gullies like this. So if you really want to go hardcore off-road, you gotta get the 2-row, ideally the Trailhawk, because that's gonna limit where you can go. So as you can see, guys, the Grand Cherokee, even this one that's not the fully spec'd off-road trim, is still an impressive performer out in the dirt. Now it's compromised. This particular spec doesn't have the tow hooks. It's got 20-inch wheels. This is not one I would take regularly on any hard trails, but if you have to get to that cool campground, the Grand Cherokee is still very capable, albeit at a pretty hefty price. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. A huge thank you to camera wizard Case behind the camera. I'll see you in the next video.